Good morning and welcome to Crawley Borough Council's Special Audit Committee meeting of 29th of April 2021. Welcome to members of the press and the public watching this meeting live. I'm Councillor Jennifer Millar-Smith, Chair of the Audit Committee. The agenda for this meeting is published and available on the Council's website. For any committee meeting held virtually, all voting will be held via recorded vote taken by a Democratic Services team member on behalf of the Chair, whereby individual councillors will be asked at the end of the debate to state if they are for, against, or if they wish to abstain for the recommendation before them at that time. The exceptions to this are the approving of the minutes from the previous meeting or any other procedural item. For those items, the Chair will move the item, seconded by the Vice Chair, and it will be presumed agreed unless a dissenting comment from any committee member is made. May I ask the Democratic Services Support Officer producing this meeting to introduce herself. Jess.
Thank you. I'm Jess Damplin, Democratic Services Support Officer.
Before I invite members of the committee to confirm their attendance, committee members are reminded to bear in mind that they are only live when their image is surrounded by a red box. With this in mind, committee members are asked to be aware of who they will follow in the voting process and to prepare accordingly. We will now be taking committee member introductions together with items 1, 2, and 3, which is apologies for absence, disclosure of interest in minutes. Please may I ask committee members when called upon to confirm their name and the ward they represent, if they have any declaration of interest to make, and if they agree the minutes of the meeting of the Audit Committee held on 3rd of March 2021.
Councillor Balban.
Councillor Tina Balban. I represent Pound Hill North and Forge Wood. I have no declarations of interest and I agree the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Flack.
Hi, I'm Councillor Morgan Flack. I represent Southgate Ward and I'm also the Vice Chair of this committee. I've got no declarations of interest and I approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Miller-Smith.
I'm Councillor Jennifer Millar-Smith. I represent Maidenbower Ward. I have no declarations of interest and I approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Purdy.
Good morning. Good morning. Jonathan Purdy representing Three Bridges and the Town Centre. I have no declarations of interest to make and I agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of March 2021.
Thank you. We have also received apologies for absence from Councillor Jones. For record purposes, Councillor Barrett is also present in this meeting but has no speaking rights. We also have Natalie Brahma-Pearl, Chief Executive, Karen Hayes, Head of Corporate Finance, Paul Windass, Chief Accountant, and Gillian Edwards, Audit and Risk Manager, also present in this meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The committee agrees that the minutes of the meeting of the Audit Committee held on 3rd of March 2021 are an accurate record of the meeting. We have the next item is public question time, and we've received no written questions for this meeting. So we will now move on to the consideration of the confirmed total final external audit fees for 2019-2020. Would Karen Hayes, Head of Corporate Finance, please present the item to the committee?
Good morning. You have before you papers regarding the additional fees from the Audit Commission, which are £40,000 more than we originally budgeted for. I've been asked to read out a statement on behalf of EY, our external auditors. It's quite long, so please bear with me, I do apologise. Statement from EY, External Auditor, to Crawley Borough Council for the Audit Committee meeting of the 29th of April 2021. We appreciate the opportunity to make this statement to you as a committee. We have, as previously discussed, the audit of the 1920 2019-20 accounts presented several different challenges, including ongoing pressures from the changes in the regulatory environment for external audit and specific responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. We understand that the Audit Committee will always take a keen interest in the level of work undertaken by the external auditors, and that those charged with governance, which is TCWG, the assurance received from external audit, is a key component to the overall responsibilities. However, we would highlight several key points that are relevant to the amount of work needed to provide you with that independent opinion, and by implication, the fee that we believe reflects that level of work. All EY external audits in the UK are conducted in line with the quality standards set by the Financial Reporting Council, which sets out how we do our work with integrity, objectivity and independence. We are proud of the fact that as a firm, the quality of our work has meant that we have no regulatory fines or sanctions imposed by the FRC in the recent past. The National Audit Office sets the code of practice, which defines what we are required to do for an audit under the Local Authority and Accountability Act 2014. That includes important considerations as part of the discussion of the 2019-20 audit. The work should be risk-based and proportionate, designed to meet the auditor's statutory responsibilities. Auditors should apply professional judgment to tailor the work required to the circumstances and audit risks identified, and apply professional scepticism in carrying out their work. Therefore, external audit is not a service like others that Council may procure, as the scope of the work is decided by the independent auditor in line with the above standards and not directed by managers or members. The unique structure of this appointment means that the fee determination process for any additional work is with the public sector audit appointments, known as PSAA, who are able to make comparison of additional scope and audit effort required across all providers and all audits under their contract. Whilst it's hoped that the audited body and the auditor will agree the level of fee arising from the additional work agreed, if it is not, the case is required for the auditor to have communicated the additional work to TCWG and PSAA, and then determine the appropriate fee for the scope of work undertaken. As we've explained in previous communication, we believe that the requirement for an external audit have changed substantially in recent years. We would note that 10 years ago, the audit fee for Crawley was in excess of £150,000, and the Chief Accountant would like to talk around that if that's possible. While significant efficiencies have been realised in the intervening years, allowing audit fees across local government to be substantially reduced, the last few years have seen a change in the cost of delivering external audits, which up to this point the firms that providing the service have been absorbing. As the committee, you have indicated in previous meetings you were not content with the proposal reset fee of £77,691 from £50,291. We have noted this and agreed with Karen Hayes that we will ask PSA to determine the proposed variation. As part of our reporting in the audit results report, we indicated that primarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we needed to undertake additional procedures not covered by the scale fee to reflect the heightened risk as a result of the issues it presented. We have captured these amounts in our annual audit letter, but in a summary, here they are. £4,171 for additional work undertaken on property valuations as a result of the Council's valuer, materially uncertainty disclosure and the significant additional testing of property valuations and underlying assumptions, the result of which were reported in the audit results report. £8,173 for the impact of COVID-19 on the 1920 audit procedures, covering both the technical and logistical challenges it presented. Considering the circumstances, we needed to revisit our materiality levels, risks and documentations in relation to COVID-19. Excuse me. Additionally, we obtained and reviewed management's updated assessment of going concern with subsequent additional procedures in areas including cash flow forecasts and disclosures in both the narrative statement and notes to the financial statements. This was supplemented with a robust consultation process on the wording of our audit report. So as a firm, we are sure that each opinion issued meets the high quality standards that you as a committee would expect. £789 for additional work related to the EFA and CIES restatement due to the changes in internal reporting structure as flagged out by our audit planning report. I'll just explain that. That's when we removed an a resources portfolio, and we had to restate the accounts because some of the areas of the resources portfolio were absorbed into other portfolios. We can assure you that the amount of the additional work outlined above, which are connected to the pandemic, are consistent with amounts incurred on similar size audits across our portfolio. As such, we consider them to be fair and representative of the work required to deliver your audit. We understand that the audit committee may choose to refer the matter to full council. We believe that the existing process with PSAA is a sufficient safeguard for the council. There is no requirement or additional value in referring the matter as such, and we would reserve the right not to attend such meeting should the committee take this course of action. As already notified to Karen Hayes, changes within our wider portfolio means that Andrew Britton will be passing over responsibility as engagement lead for the 2021 council audit to Liz Jackson. We are collectively happy to consider any further questions or clarifications that the committee may have on this matter. Thank you.
You're muted, Councillor.
Chair, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Karen. Both things. I'll now open the debate. Please turn your camera on if you wish to speak and you'll be brought in. Please unmute your microphone and check that you are live before making your comments. I'll call upon committee members to speak in order if cameras indicated, and Karen or Paul will respond to each question in turn before the next committee member asks a question. Councillor Tina Belbin.
Hi. I'm just a bit concerned because in their letter they say they have to use specialised staff, that they have to remunerate quite highly because there's a small pool of people that like to concentrate on public finance. But when I was auditing, you always used to go out with a lot of Indians, trainees. Could Karen and Paul give us an idea, please, of who were they dealing with highly qualified professionals all the time? Because we've got no breakdown of the level of staff and their hours they've spent on this at all. Thank you. Paulie, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think they do use a variety of staff, so there are more experienced staff, but they, as you rightly say, they do use trainees. It was difficult last year to get a judge of the proportions because they obviously weren't on site, so it's difficult to see how much they were involved. But yes, they do use trainees.
Yeah. And I don't know how relevant it is today, but when I was out there, you used to have a charge out that was 3 times the salary, and so a third for salary, a third for your overheads, and a third for profit used to be. And it's very difficult because we've got no breakdown as to their hourly charge to compare to other accountants or anything. I mean, it's an enormous increase, but that they're expecting us to swallow, and it's, in my opinion, unacceptable. But you know, we are where we are. But thank you. Jen, you're muted.
I know. I did hit it, but did go. Councillor Jonathan Purdy, please.
And the camera's still on me.
Thank you very much, Chair. Not a dissimilar question to Councillor Belbins in some ways. Obviously, we are unhappy with the increase. We've previously seen the increase from 50,000 to 78 and expressed our unhappiness with that. And the response from the auditors has been to put the fee up even further, as if they want to penalise their customers for complaining. However, to get to a material question, I note from the agenda that we've agreed with the auditors that PSSA will determine the proposed variation from 50 to 78. Does that also apply to this additional increase from 78 to 90, or is that outside of a potential PSSA determination? And that doesn't mean determining it by the PSSA would make us happy, if you see what I mean. But that's the question. Does this further increase also go into that determination, or is there a different mechanism for agreeing this further increase? Thank you.
Yes, any changes to the core fee have to go through PSAA. It's supposed to go through management first, but we find we don't always see the breakdown that we request beforehand. But yes, all variations go through PSAA.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something? Can I speak right now before we bring in the next person? Regarding that, I think that following this meeting, we should write to the PSAA, or I should write to the PSAA on behalf of the committee if we agree at the end, asking that they do not make any judgments on this until after we have had the full council meeting, because I think there's going to be a variety of things that we're going to need from them before we can go further. For instance, detailed breakdowns, which they haven't, given us. So I think the first thing perhaps to do, if the committee agrees, is that I want to make sure that the PSAA does not consider this at all until after, if we agree to bring it to full council and invites a wide representative, that we hold off on them considering anything until after that meeting. So maybe we can consider that at the end as well, please. Do we have any other questions, speakers?
Just to say, Chair, I would second that proposition if it was needed to say that we ask PSAA not to rule until full council has had an opportunity to determine it, if this committee determines that going to full council is appropriate. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tina Belvin.
Hi. Just for any members of the public out there, I'd just like to point out that these fees are net of VAT. That they don't charge us VAT. So, it is a lot of money that they're charging us extra. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's working between my different papers here. Do we have anyone else want to speak on this? I'm going to guess no. I do have a question that I feel, nothing leads me to believe this from anything that I've seen, but I feel I'd be slightly remiss without asking it. If any of our audit representatives here, finance representatives here, feel that there's anything that we could have done differently to prevent some of these increases in fees? Are you able to please answer that? Again, nothing I've seen suggests that we could have done anything differently, but I do feel I'd like you to sort of be able to answer whether you feel there's anything we could have done that would limit the fees.
No, I don't think so. It's mostly the regulatory scenario behind the scenes that's increased the fees. They're blaming a lot of the increase on increased audit regulation. We've always in the past had very good feedback from the auditors on the state of our working papers. There was a small fee included this time around for additional work because of audit papers. So we have had a response as to what we could do there, but that could reduce the fee a little bit, but that was only a few £100, I think, not the thousands that we're looking at here.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, that's a very minor amount that's been included in the reports. Very minor, given the fees. All right, so all committee members have had the opportunity to speak. The recommendation set out in the agenda requests that the committee decide what action, if any, it wishes to take. That being said, I move that the committee requests that the mayor place an item on the agenda for the next ordinary meeting of the full council relating to the increase in final external audit fees, and that a representative from Ernst & Young, the council's external auditors, be invited to that meeting to present their justification for the increase and answer any questions posed by the full council in relation to the matter. Councillor Flack, as the vice chair, are you happy to second this approach?
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
Okay. Can I also add what I've said, an additional action recommendation to request that the committee approves me writing to the PSAA asking for no consideration of this issue until after we have had Ernst & Young invited to the full council meeting, after the full council meeting. Councillor Fleck, do you agree that?
Can I just suggest that that is taken as a separate vote?
Okay. Oh, yes, sorry.
So we'll do a recorded vote on first.
Okay, yes, fine.
The motion to move to full council, and then a second recorded vote afterward.
Okay, thank you.
So I will, if we're happy to go ahead with that approach, then I will take the call the recorded vote now, beginning with this is on the item to the proposal to move the item to full council and invite a representative from Ernst & Young, as the chair had mentioned. So we'll go to Councillor Belvin. Could you please state whether you're for, against or abstain?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Flack, please.
Yeah, I'm for.
Thank you. Councillor Miller-Smith.
For.
And Councillor Purdy.
For.
Thank you. So that is 4 votes for the motion, 0 votes against and 0 abstentions. Chair.
Thank you very much. So there are actually 2 things that I think we need to ask for prior going ahead with full council, invited to the full council. So if people are, I don't know if I have to do these separately. The other thing I want to say is that we need to ask Ernst & Young prior to this full council meeting for a full breakdown with as much detail as possible about hours and other information around the whole of the fees. So I don't know if we need to take that as a third sort of thing. If you can advise me, and then I'll.
I would suggest that we ask any committee members whether they have any objection to taking those 2 items together as one recorded vote. If any committee members have an objection to and wish to vote on those items separately, if they could please turn their cameras on now to signify. And I don't see any cameras, so I believe, Chair, that if you'd like to take those together and do one recorded vote on those, that would be fine. So if you could please state your proposal.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to propose that as chair of the committee, I write to PSAA and request that they do not make any considerations on these fees until after our full council meeting. And also that prior to the council meeting, we ask Ernst & Young to please provide a full breakdown for all of the fees with as much detail as possible, because we really haven't had some detailed information around sort of hours and even more specific information. So hopefully people will agree that we can request that.
Thank you. So I'll call a recorded vote, but please could I ask, I know there was discussion about a seconder, so please could I ask someone to second that motion before we take it to the vote? Councillor Flack, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that motion. Thank you for raising it.
Great, thank you. So this will be a recorded vote on the items mentioned by the chair. Please could you state for, against or abstain? Councillor Belbin.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Flack.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Miller-Smith.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Purdy.
For, thank you.
Thank you. So the vote has been taken with 4 votes for the proposals, 0 votes against and 0 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. So it has therefore been resolved that the mayor be requested to place an item on the agenda for the next ordinary meeting of the full council relating to the increase in final external audit fees, and that a representative from Ernst & Young, the council's external auditors, be invited to that meeting to present their justification for the increase and answer any questions posed by the full council in relation to the matter. And also that as chair of the committee, I will write to the PSAA asking that they do not consider these fees until after that full council meeting has taken place, and that we request, I'll write to, or Karen, one of us will write to Ernst & Young and ask that they provide, in as much detail as possible, a complete breakdown of all of how they've reached all of these fees going forward. Thank you very much. There is no supplementary agenda for this meeting, so with the business of the committee concluded, the meeting is now closed at 10 a.m. I would like to thank you all for attending this special meeting, and the meeting is now closed. Thank you.